Again, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Jim Owen. I'll be your master of ceremonies for the evening. I would like to remind you, you get what you pay for and work for free, so please keep that in mind. We've got some more water back there. We have coffee as well, so you can take yourself squared away now. That crisis is momentarily diverted. So I'm off to a good start. Anyway, I'd like to wish all the dads in the crowd a happy Father's Day tomorrow. Don't worry, fellas, new socks and underwear are on their way. Just got to hang in there one more day. We got this. Everything you see tonight is brought to you by the Hard Work for a Hall of Fame committee. Please allow me to introduce them at this time. When your name is called, please stand to be recognized for all your hard work and dedication. Committee members include Darren Gilbert, David Allen, Jeff Price, Paul Ralston, Mike Reisner, Tom Simmons, Darlene Wilson, Aaron Thompson, and myself, Jim Homan. Committee members in attendance, please stand to be recognized. Those not in attendance can remain seated. We're always looking for more local sports historians from each community in the county. So if you're interested in joining us, please see a committee person after the event. This is our 13th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We presently have 71 members and 12 teams in our Hall of Fame. With tonight's event, we'll be adding 6 more individuals and 1 additional team to our membership. Tonight's inductees were selected by the Hall of Fame committee from dozens of nominees. A nomination form is included in every program if you'd like to nominate a person or team for consideration. Nominations from the general public are greatly appreciated. Believe me, I'm on the committee, they're greatly appreciated. Once again this year, the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame is awarding a pair of scholarships to local athletes. That present the West Davis Memorial Scholarships. Here's Aaron Thompson.
Good evening. This is my 3rd year on the committee. We had over 40 applicants this year of all county male and female athletes. And a lot of you sitting in the crowd got your start. I mean, obviously our inductees got their start, or most of them got their start at a Hardin County school. But the money that we raised tonight, we're giving back to students because if you've been involved in education or you know anything about education, you got to help people. And that's why a lot of us are here, because we love to help people. And our 2 recipients for this evening are 2 fine individuals. They're both going to be polar bears, so that's great. I'm a polar bear too, a polar bear alum. So our 2 recipients tonight are from Riverdale High School, Miss Allison Woodruff. And from Upper Side of the Valley, Mr. Maddox Underwood.
I'm Allison Woodruff, and I'd like to thank the scholarship committee for selecting me. I will be attending Ohio Northern, like they said. I'm going to be doing early childhood education, and I'm running for the cross country captain. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maddox Underwood, and I am very appreciative of being able to receive this scholarship. I will be attending Ohio Northern in the fall, studying mechanical engineering as well as playing on the football team. Again, thank you.
By the way, I understand Allison's actual final GPA when all was said and done was 4.62. There were tables here that combined GPA was at 4.62. So yeah, well done to both of you. Best of luck to you. 2 very impressive individuals. You can read more about Allison and Max in our member programs. So now it's time to get started with our induction ceremony. For our first presentation, please welcome lecturer Mrs. Darlene Wilson.
Good evening. It's an honor to get to introduce the First inductee tonight, former teacher and coach Sue Fetzer. Beginning in 1978, Coach Fetzer taught high school English and French at Hardin for 28 years. Her abilities in the classroom carried over into her coaching, and her success and impact as a coach is a direct reflection of her commitment to inspiring and educating her student athletes during her entire career. She coached at least one sport every single year that she taught. Most years, she coached 2. I know there are many coaches in the room tonight who understand the time, energy, and commitment it takes to coach a high school sport. And if you've coached girls' sports, you know that it's not for the faint of heart. So we can appreciate this kind of dedication and sacrifice. Her career spanned several decades, and she inspired and coached young ladies in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. I'm sure that those of us who played for her took this for granted at the time, but looking back now, I realize that we were truly blessed to have her so involved and so dedicated to coaching, especially at a time when girls' sports were just beginning to evolve. You can see listed in the program some of the success that she had as a coach, especially in volleyball and track. She was the assistant volleyball coach for 21 seasons, helping lead the Lady Polar Bears to 15 Glacier Valley Conference championships, 6 district championships, 1 regional championship, and a state runner-up title. She was head coach for the Hardin girls track team for 21 years, leading many track athletes to school record performances. She made many trips to the state track meet with multiple relay teams and individual participants, resulting in a list of all state athletes. She still volunteers to help at home meets, whether she's running a long jump or working in the press box, and she's given over 35 years of service to the HN track program. Her impact can also be seen in an interesting fact that she coached every one of the Hardin Northern female athlete inductees in the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. And Hardin Northern and many other county schools have had a number of coaches in a variety of sports who once played for her. She also coached successful college coaches Julie Folks and Jill Jolliffe. When I was trying to put together what to write for this introduction, I asked some former athletes and coaches what they remembered most about Coach Fetzer, and a few things were repeatedly mentioned. One was her attention to detail and how it revealed her commitment to helping her players and teams succeed. One example, and something that many of us remember from volleyball, was that during the varsity games she spoke live play-by-play commentary into a little handheld tape recorder that later they would transcribe into very accurate stats. And in track, she had charts and handwritten tables for every athlete, recording personal bests as well as points scored. In these ways, she went above and beyond to make sure we were being supported and encouraged, and recorded and tracked our efforts in a way that not only led to our improvement, but made us feel and know that what we were doing mattered. Another characteristic that was mentioned repeatedly was that Coach Fetzer had a remarkable ability to connect with athletes in a positive and productive way. She was a fierce competitor, prioritizing success at every level, and yet she still found a way to make things fun and kept us laughing. One explained it this way: Coach Fetzer believed that practice should be hard work, but that it should also have a fun element. She provided just the right amount of exuberant personality and creativity needed to prevent practices from becoming monotonous. Whether it's creating puzzles for us to solve with teammates at a Friday practice, demonstrating an embarrassing moment for a player at a game the night before by showing us a new drill on how to hit the volleyball off the ceiling, or driving alongside us in her car, offering us water while we were out on long runs. I felt like she was laughing at us, but she assures us she was not. She looked for ways to help us have a good time while pushing us to be our best. It was also mentioned that she understood the significance of preparing athletes for their future endeavors. An assistant coach is extremely valuable in looking at young players and trying to develop them through the JV program. Coach Fetzer was one of the best at doing this, seeing potential and working to get the best out of an athlete for the years ahead. One of her former players explained that as a freshman, she had not grown yet and she was not a great hitter. Coach Fetzer saw the potential there and told her, "You will be a hitter," then stayed after practice time and time again to help her, standing on a chair, holding a ball in the air for her to practice her approach and her arm swing again and again. That player grew and became an incredible hitter, an important part of a successful varsity team. She also later became a coach and teacher herself and is currently an administrator in the Kenton City school system. In track, Coach Fetzer constantly did this as well. She saw our potential, she worked to develop us and put us in the position to have the most success for our team. Whether we wanted to run the events she put us in or not, she found a way to set us up for success. Julie Folks, now head basketball coach at Marshall, said this: "Ultimately, what I appreciated so much, especially now that I'm coaching, was the sincere investment in our all-around growth. She mentored us, motivated us, and held us to a high standard that allowed us to reach our potential. I'm confident that many of my successes today were from learning early on what good coaching looks like." Others repeatedly shared that Coach Fetzer was always consistent, even-keeled, soft-spoken, and smiling, and she emphasized team. A couple of her all-state runners from the 80s said this about her. In track, Coach Betzer was genuine in her attempt to make us feel like a team. She always had a way of getting our small team to work together and to do our best. It wasn't about winning track meets, it was always about improving each of our times, and we were not allowed to use the word can. They added, those were unforgettable years, and Coach Betzer helped us to have fond memories of being part of the HN track team. To close, I just want to share something that Coach Betzer wrote to me this winter after hearing that she was going to be inducted into the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. She was extremely honored, and she was texting with me, and what she wrote in these two texts, I believe, sums up her selfless career as a teacher and a coach. The first thing she said was this. She wrote, I realize that this honor is about coaching, but I have always believed that teaching is more important. And later she wrote, I wanted girls to have sports opportunities all of my teaching career, things that were possible after 1972. Having been able to watch this evolution over 50 years has been one of the most meaningful things in my life. Coach Betzer, this honor is also about teaching because that is what you did in every sport you coached. You taught us. You taught us how to win humbly. You taught us to not take ourselves too seriously and found ways to make us laugh and find joy in the midst of hard work. You taught us how to work as a team and to always put our team above ourselves. You taught us to be confident, to not give up, and to never say I can't. And through the passion, creativity, and commitment that you brought to both the classroom and to the sports you coached, you taught us how to selflessly inspire and encourage others. On behalf of all the Hardin Northern student athletes that you impacted in your career, I want to thank you for providing opportunities for us to compete and compete well, with good coaching and good teaching by someone who was extremely committed and had a deep desire to see us succeed not only in sports, but in life. We were truly blessed to play for you and to learn from you. Congratulations, Coach. This is a well-deserved honor.
'72. I would ask you to remember that date as I will be coming back to it. I want to first thank the committee for this honor, which I assure you came as a complete surprise. I also want to thank my family and friends for attending tonight. Please know how grateful I am that you have chosen to be here at this banquet. I also wish to congratulate my fellow inductees on their accomplishments. I find each of you have achieved impressive goals in your lives. And of course, I want to thank Darlene for those very kind words. I had the privilege of coaching her in high school, and it is very gratifying to know that she, in turn, has continued coaching other young athletes. In many ways, that is one of the best legacies that any coach can experience. Darlene knows a great deal about what I did in my coaching career, but I do not believe that she knows the why. And that is what I want to share with her and with you. So this brings me back to 1972. Now, two things happened in 1972. First, that's the year I graduated from college. But of far greater importance, it's the year that Title IX legislation was passed. Not many people know that I actually did play on my college team in volleyball and basketball for 3 years. Not many people, well, why would they know that? Now, don't hold the fourth year against me. I was in France that year. What was playing like back then? Well, there were two gyms. One was the old gym that was above the swimming pool, and one was the new gym. We played in the old gym. No one came to our games, certainly not parents or family. There was no cheering from the sidelines. If we were at a conference, no one on the team knew it. We were lucky to have a uniform, but certainly we played against other teams who wore pennies or played in modified skirts. And as for away games, Well, girls, find a way to get there because there's no bus. Now, I was lucky and I didn't have a car at school, but I was always able to stagger on to these games. Anyways, after my college graduation, here comes Title IX legislation. Now, I suppose that if you were an athletic director, you did not care for this. Twice as much scheduling games and gym time, but from my perspective, it seemed liberating. Girls having a much better chance to participate in athletics. Things did not fall into place immediately. As girls' teams were formed, there were difficulties in finding coaches. Early on, most schools wanted female coaches, but there just were very few around who were well qualified. Well, why would there be? The lucky schools had one or two ladies with a little playing experience or ladies who were willing to attend seminars, but hardly any school had a coach who had coaching experience. But for me, it was important to try to be the best coach that I could be because girls were finally getting an opportunity. And this led me to an unpredictable path. You see, I had never even seen a track meet until I came to Hardin Northern School. At least not a real one with an official score. When the girls' head coach track position became available, I was both nervous and eager to accept it. I am so grateful to three gentlemen who have all said in the past, but Steve Ickes, Stan Evans, and Keith Pease took me under their wings and guided me into this unfamiliar coaching world. I have found over time that I truly love the individual aspect of coaching track. Every year there are new athletes with unique strengths. Some years it's all about the sprint relays. Then another year comes and you have a good hurdler, or a good jumper, or good distance runners. This is one of the most enjoyable aspects of track and field, the diverse events, but it's also the part of practices that can drive you crazy, trying to fit it all in. And I've found that coaching is, in a way, a lifelong habit, as I found myself just the other day working with a hurdler from a distant school only because no one else was doing that. So it really does all go back to 1972 for me. I am so very glad that girls today have opportunities that simply were not there prior to that year. And if my coaching helped these girls out, then that is all I can ask for. Most of you are familiar with a quote from a Patrick Swayze movie. Nobody puts baby in the corner. I choose to modify that a bit and say that not only is baby not in the corner anymore, but baby can be out on the court or the field or anywhere that her athletic achievements take her. And I, for one, will be cheering her on all the way. Thank you very much.
Please welcome for our next presentation, Coach Scott Stebble.
Thank you, Jim. Real quick, before I get into my couple minutes on my introduction, I want to commend the Hall of Fame Committee. I understand and know the work that goes into doing this. I think it's really special that you continue to preserve and recognize the history of Hardin County sports. It's really important, and I hope you will continue to be successful in doing that. Being a former teacher and coach at Kenton High School and being an Ohio Northern grad, Hardin County has always had a special place in in my heart. It always has, and it always will. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity tonight to say a few words about our next inductee. I appreciate that time. And I want to recognize and congratulate all the inductees that are here tonight on your honor. In particular, Coach Louth, from one polar bear to another. Congratulations, Coach, and thank you for all you've done for Ohio Northern University and your service to them. And to our two students, when I went to Ohio Northern, gosh, in 1983, 82, that was probably the best decision I ever made in my life. So good luck to you. It's going to be a great opportunity for you. Good luck. I've known Darren Gilbert for 37 years now. And when Gil reached out to me about a month ago and asked if I could come up and introduce him, first of all, I was very honored to be able to do that. And I kind of was pondering things about him in just a short time that we have. And the thing that I kept coming back to, and the thing that I think about all the time, and all the years that I've known Gil since the first time he was an assistant coach for me when I first arrived at Kent, is just how unbelievably passionate and loyal he was, and still is, to, in particular, Kenton High School, Hardin County alone, but Kenton High School. As a head coach, you always want to have, you want your kids and your coaches to embody that sense of loyalty. It's just so important because it develops all that trust and all that relationship building. And Gil was just awesome. He loved the Kenton kids. He loved the sport. He loved Hardin County. He loved everything about the Western Buckeye League and the league. And he was always excited for our kids to do well. And he was that way because he was a Wildcat. I mean, he just had it in him. And he continues to have that in him. And I don't talk to him every day, but for 37 years, Gil has been as loyal as anyone that I've ever known in the business. And I think when you read through his bio there, pretty much says that. I mean, no question. He was a Kenton boy, hometown, gave all he could as a player, as a student athlete, had a lot of success there for school and in college. And then he taught for all those years at Kenton High School. He's remained here. And he's done that, again, because he really, really bleeds Kenton Wildcats. And I firmly believe that. And I think that's why he's here tonight, receiving this honor. I think that's come full circle for him. All that loyalty, love, and passion that he had as a Kenton Wildcat, as a teacher and a coach, and as a part of the Hardin County sports world. So, with that, I'd like to introduce our Hall of Famer, Darren Gilbert.
First off, I think it's important that I give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without Him, this wouldn't be possible. Before I get into my speech, I would like to recognize those Hall of Fame members that are in attendance tonight. And if you would, please stand on behalf of the Hardin County Hall of Fame Committee. If you are a Hall of Fame member, please stand. All right, Gene, Doug, Roger, Aaron, 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 You guys are always welcome back here, as long as I serve my time on the committee and this committee is together. Thank you for attending, and I hope you're enjoying yourself. I would also like to extend my congratulations to both the 2025 West Davis Memorial Scholarship winners, Miss Allison Woodruff from Riverdale High School and Mr. Maddox Underwood from Upper Stony Valley High School. Both of these athletes and recipients are basically winding down their high school careers. I'm not sure if everybody in here is aware of it, but both of them advanced to the state track meet this past weekend and represented not only their school, but Hardin County extremely well. Congratulations to you two on your scholarship, as well as going on to being a polar bear with Mr. Simmons. Congratulations. I'd also like to congratulate the other members going in the class with me tonight, which would be Ms. Sue Fetzer, Mr. Jeff Hastings, Ms. Gail Louth, the late Mr. Jim West, Mr. Charles Renner, and Coach Gene Freeze in the 76 Ada boys basketball team on their class induction. It's sort of odd for me to stand up here tonight because normally I'm giving the introduction to the evening, so I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but I am very pleased and very happy to see the great turnout that we have here tonight. Thank you for coming to this wonderful event. I want to attack this from a different standpoint because I have so many people that I have to thank throughout my coaching career, my television that I'm doing on the side, the coaches that I've had the privilege to work with. I've got two classmates that are here that graduated in 1981. 3 of them are here tonight. 2 of them have come in from out of state. So with that to mention, I want to go first of all, during my time in high school, growing up, I was a big kid and I fell in love with the game of basketball. Wasn't very quick. I felt sorry for my parents because they were constantly buying me new shoes and new clothes all the time. But my late coach Steve Kick, Coach Ron Kratzenberg, and Coach Jerry Stolfer, I owe a lot of thanks to them. The time that they put in with not only me, but with the program. My teammates, Gordy Gayton, Tom Davis, Greg McKee, John Price, Dave Sherman, Jim Oates, and Russ Ho, God rest his soul, who passed away at a young age of 44 of cancer. My 3 classmates, as well as teammates and dear friends that are here. Jeff Broker, Kyle Collins, who lives in Texas, and Mike Holmes from Louisiana. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. I love you guys very much. You may ask why on my slideshow with my team picture of our team from 1981, you may be wondering why there's a house in the picture as well as a picture of a basketball court. Well, growing up, that picture in the upper right-hand corner is Jerry and Judy Cross's house. And they were right behind Cherry Street Park. And that's where it all began. That's a place that on weekends, from spring through summer, you'd be occupied with players from all over Hardin County that would come in from 10 a.m. and play till dusk. If you won, you stayed on. If you lost, you sat for a minimum of 5 games or more just to get back on the court. There was no arguing. There was a few moments of blood. A lot of sweat and a lot of hard work to make each player better. So that's the purpose of those two pictures there. I want my classmates to know, as well as that 81 basketball team, that even though your name is not attached to this award, I thank each teammate, especially my dear friends, Jeff, Kyle, and Mike. I would not have put up the numbers that I did without you sacrificing for the betterment of the team. I told myself I wasn't going to do this. I love you three. I respect you three guys. And thank you for being here to share this moment with me and my family. To my principal, Mr. Doug Roberts, a dear friend of mine. To my athletic directors that I've worked with, Jerry Stauffer, Mr. Jerry Burry Ridgemont, who gave me my first opportunity in a teaching position. I'd be remiss not to mention John Shively, who sadly passed with that terrible disease of cancer from Lyman Perry, as well as Bob Yant. Michael Letty here at Kent High School, and a wonderful man named Ken Jokins at Ada High School. Now to my buddies that I dearly love and respect, and that is the coaches that I've worked with over my lifetime. First of all, thank you, Scott, for the kind words. Mr. Jeff Stevenson, Mr. Tony Stye, Mr. Jeff Rinkus, Mr. Mark Jarvis, Mr. Terry Rao, Mr. Matt McCullough, Mr. Chris Sauter. Each of these men are high character as well as integrity. Not only are they exceptional in their profession and leaders in education, they are outstanding husbands, fathers, grandfathers. Scott, that's the reason why I asked you. I didn't know if you were a great-grandpa or not, great-great-grandpa, so we don't have any of those yet, but how many grandkids, Scott, do you have? 10 grandkids. Congrats to you. Gentlemen, you have all left a footprint in the sand as coaches. And I want to come right out and say it. You've won sectional championships, district championships, regional championships. Some of you have had undefeated seasons. Some of you have had undefeated seasons cut short because of COVID. Some of you made the state finals. And we also have a young man in here that coached to beat the #1 team in the country, Mr. Tony Stye. You gentlemen, I've learned so much about the game of basketball, how to deal with kids, your compassion. Thank you for letting Gil be Gil. And I don't want to elaborate on that, but you guys just let me do my thing. I don't want to say it too much because my mother will raise her eyebrows, because one of the first things that she says to me is, "Are you too loud with the kids?" So, Chris, you hearing okay? All right, Chris is hearing all right. No, thank you to each of you for allowing me to be part of your staff and learning from you. I love you all. I want to turn the direction into the media aspect of it. 93.1 The Fan. You know, they got me involved in doing sports, high school basketball, high school football. Can't thank them enough. I got Chris Howe here from the Lima News, very supportive of the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. And if I need anything from him, WOSN family. I'm not sure if people in the audience are aware of what WOSN does. It's a Christian-based station out of Lima, Ohio, and they do a tremendous job supporting high school athletes in Northwest and West Central Ohio. I am so blessed and so fortunate to be involved with some of the best of the best. Special thank yous to the late Aaron Matthews. I don't know if anybody in here remembers Aaron Matthews. Aaron Matthews unfortunately passed away from us 3-4 years ago. He got me involved in WSN, and I need to thank him for that. I have those in attendance tonight: Mr. Mark Shine, Evan Skilder, Miles Holiday. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. I have learned so much about broadcasting from you. These people are incredibly sports-minded people. They just don't go in and wing things. They write things down, and I've learned so much from it. And it brings a joy to me to be able to not only take the game that I've loved, but give something back to it. And nothing better that I find is to get our student athletes in Northwest and West Central Ohio an opportunity to be on TV and recognize them in their school programs. Nick Fraley, Jennifer Kent Beck, or Keith Beck, excuse me, Wayne Getz, Danny Holbrook, Garrett Seawright, Garrett Mansfield, Darden Evergall, Randy Roberts, Patrick Hamler, the camera crew, Kelsey Weimer, Dispositivity, Megan Sherritt, Jacob O'Neill, Zach Keith. Unfortunately had a man pass on too early in his life, Mr. Derrick Henry. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, and I enjoy every aspect of it and look forward to doing it for years to come. Forewarning, I hope I can keep it together here. Just forewarning everybody here. My family. My two uncles, Dwayne and Myron Spencer, and their immediate families. These two men, during my time in high school and college, they would get in the cars and go to the games. They would never, ever say anything negative about my play, even though I knew that I could have done better. I couldn't probably put other words in there, but could have done better. My beautiful sister Deb, brother-in-law John, and their children and grandchildren. My nieces and significant others, Chelsea and Ryan, John and Zach. My great niece and nephew, Ayana and Kobe. My late grandmother. You got a picture up here. I miss her every day. I was fortunate enough, she lived with my parents from the age that I was 9 years old. We were very close. And we could talk about anything, and guess what? She would just sit there and listen. I miss her every day. My late father passed in 2016. Never missed a game of high school or college, home or away. My father, if you knew my father, was a horrible athlete. Mom, am I right? I mean, he could not walk and chew gum. But he loved his sports. My God, you'd see him on Sundays and he would have the TV on or he'd have the radio on. But I will say this about my father. When it come time to work, he worked. He never missed a day. And I feel like I've taken that with me, and I'm so appreciative of that. That work ethic pays dividends to the end. Thank you, Dad, for instilling that in me. I think everybody in here knows what's coming next. I told Miles and I told Danny this was not going to happen. Right? So don't get on your phone and start texting him and telling him this, okay?
Too late.
Too late? All right, thanks. Make sure it's not on the podcast, please. Give me 1 second, please. I apologize. There's a beautiful woman sitting back in the corner back there. That lady is known as Shelby Gilbert. I want to thank you for all the sacrifices you have made for me. All the visits to the emergency room, from the broken leg from a year and a half old, to all the other visits through my college playing days, and there was a lot of broken bones in there, a lot of medical bills. Guess what? That lady was right there with me. Thank you for the meals you prepared. And I brought this up because I got 3 of my classmates here. You know, you cooked for us. You even had our college basketball team down from Ashland. You and Grandma cooked for us. I mentioned it early, but it is sort of funny. It's not now, or it is now, but it wasn't back then. The constant need to keep buying me shoes and clothes. You know, somebody asked me earlier tonight, well, how tall was you? Well, I was 6'3" as a 7th grader, 6'5" as a freshman, 6'6" as a sophomore, 6'8" as a junior, went to 6'10" in college. So I don't even want to imagine. And my shoes went from 13 to 14 to 15 to 16. I thought, well, they're going to stop. No, they went to 18. So we're done. They're done there. But, you know, the expense, I can't even imagine and fathom the amount of money you spent. You and Dad and Grandma, making the trip to my games, in my college games, home and away, they never missed a game. If it was in Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, New York, they were there. They were my support, and I appreciate it. Mom, you've always been the person in the family to put everybody else first before yourself. I'm looking at my nieces right now, and they're shaking their heads up and down. Whether it be for me, for Deb, for Dad in his trying times, for Grandma, or the entire Spencer Gilbert family. My mom has been battling through health issues, and I know I'm not going to go into details, Mom, and I don't want you to raise your eyebrows, but tough. My mother has been battling through things and physical ailments over the years while remaining steadfast and strong. Not once have I heard her bellyache or complain. Thank you for teaching me to believe in myself, remain dedicated, and to take pride in my work and to never, ever quit. And no matter what, make sure that I show good sportsmanship, no matter the outcome, win or loss. Mom, you are the strongest woman I have ever met. I'm so glad that you are here to share this day with me, the Gilbert Spencer family, my classmates, my fellow coaches, my colleagues from WSN, and those others sitting here for the class of 2025. I love you. In closing, I would like to thank the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame for your vote for me into this class, the class of 2025. I'm exceptionally humbled and I'm grateful to receive this honor. Thank you to all of you for your time and your attention. God bless and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
We'll adjust this down. Next, welcome to stage Mr. McLean Hastings.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees and their families. What an achievement this is. I have the pleasure of introducing my dad, Jeff Hastings. I also want to start by saying that writing this speech was a little intimidating. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because it's hard to put into words the kind of impact one person can have on your life when they've been there every step of the way. Dad accomplished a lot in sports. He graduated Hardin Northern High School in 1984 and then Bowling Green in 1988. He was a three-sport athlete at Hardin Northern, earning 9 combined varsity letters in track and cross country and basketball. He set 3 school records in track and cross country in the 16, which stood for over 30 years, 32, and the 5K, which actually still stands. Dad also won 6 individual Hardin County meet events, 2 in cross country, 4 in track, the 16 and the 32, and then placed second in the Hardin County meet in 2 other events, and was also a 2-event champion at the BBC meet, both as a junior, the 16 and the 8, and senior, the 16 and the 32. He also set 3 Hardin County meet records, 2 in track, the 16 and the 32, and 1 in cross country. He competed twice in the state cross country meet, placing 8th and earning all Ohio honors, and was a 1600 meter district champion and 16 regional runner-up in track, qualifying for the state meet. He graduated as class valedictorian and became a 3-year letterman in track and cross country at Bowling Green. He earned all MAC honors, placing 5th in the 1986 Mid-American Conference 5000, and earned all academic second team for the track and cross country. Dad earned the Most Improved Runner award as a sophomore and was a top 7 runner on the varsity team as a junior and also as a senior. He set personal bests of 15 minutes in the 5K, 31:50 in the 10K, and 25:31 in the 5-mile cross country. After his competing days, Jeff served as a high school track and cross country coach in the Indianapolis area for 11 years, coaching 10 athletes who went on to compete at the college level, including 2 at D1, 5 at the NAIA colleges, and 3 at D3 colleges. Now, these feats in themselves are impressive, but frankly, they all happened before I was even born, so there's that. And while some of you may know him for his many accomplishments, the legacy he built in our home means far more to me than anything that ever happened at the finish line. Growing up, I never felt like I had to become someone I wasn't. My dad didn't shape me into a version of himself. He helped me discover who I actually was. His kind of coaching wasn't about yelling splits from across the field or giving intense halftime speeches. No, it was quicker than that, more steady and more personal as well. He led by example. He taught me how to show up, how to put in the work, how to stay humble, and also how to stay humble. From the very beginning, he made it clear that success wasn't just about winning. It was commitment, character, and resilience. It was about doing things the right way, not the easy way, and doing them with heart. I can't count the number of runs we've done together. Some early, some late, some where I felt like I was flying, and some where I absolutely felt like quitting. But growing up in the shadow of someone so accomplished never felt like pressure. And that's because of how my dad carried his success. He didn't brag, he didn't boast, and he never expected me to be a carbon copy of him. What he expected was effort, heart, and commitment. He didn't want me to be him, he wanted me to be me at my best. He was always right there, at practice, at meets, and even on regular Tuesday mornings, teaching me not just how to run faster, but how to be stronger. Stronger in character and grit, and how I also face the world. One of the first lessons he taught me as a coach and as a dad was this: you don't learn anything from the easy run. It's the hard runs that teach you about yourself, and it turned out that was true about life as well. There were times when I wanted to quit, when I was tired, frustrated, or just unsure of myself. But he taught me how to push through, not with shouting or lectures, but with his presence. He showed me what consistency looks like, what accountability feels like, and what showing up day after day means, whether you're having a good day or if you're not. Sometimes it was as simple as a quiet, "You've got more in you," when I thought I didn't. Sometimes it was the long talk on the drive home after a tough loss, when he reminded me that setbacks aren't the end, they're just part of the story. He taught me how to compete, yes, but more importantly, he taught me how to lead, how to grow, and how to respect the process. Whether it was running or just becoming the kind of man I want to be, he never let me settle. But he also never let me walk alone. That kind of confidence, that kind of love, that's the real legacy that he's leaving behind. That's what makes him more than just a great athlete. It's what makes him a great guy. He raised me with high expectations, but also with higher love. He believed in me before I ever knew how to believe in myself. So yes, Jeff Hastings was a great runner at Hardin County, but to me, he's more than that. He's the man who taught me how to lace up not just my shoes, but my life as well, with discipline, courage, and heart. With that, it is my great privilege to introduce the man who taught me how to run, how to lead, and how to live with honor, my dad, Jeff Hastings.
Well, good evening, everyone. You know, it's not often that you get to hear your son say a lot of nice things about you in front of a crowd of people. So I was having a hard time keeping my composure as I listened to all that. So hopefully, Darren, I kind of know what you were feeling a little bit, only on the front side of this. So we'll see if I can make it through, maybe regain my composure. Definitely a proud father, and a great early Father's Day present. So thank you, Clay. And just before our social time ended, I asked Darren if they kept records for the shortest speech in Hardin County Hall of Fame history. I thought this might be my last time to maybe set an athletic-related record. So leave it to an old distance runner to be interested in their time and their event. So we'll habits die hard. But in all seriousness, I first want to say how thankful and grateful I am this evening. I've got a lot of thank yous to go through, but it's a special night for me. I'm honored and humbled to be here. I first want to thank the staff that prepared the facilities and the the delicious meal that we were able to enjoy. I want to thank the Hardin County Hall of Fame and all the committee members for all the time and effort that you spend to evaluate the nominees and organize this event and invest in maintaining the memories and legacies of past coaches and athletes. I think this work is really important for a lot of reasons, but as often the case, people behind the scenes don't get as much appreciation as they deserve. So thank you for being willing to do what you do. I also want to thank Darlene Wilson for reaching out and asking me if I'd be interested in going through this process. I know that Darlene spent a lot of time preparing this nomination for me and working with me to track down a lot of documents and newspaper articles, and I certainly wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to be here without her initiative. So thank you, Darlene, for doing that and for the kindness that you showed in doing so. I want to thank my family for being here. First, my mom for all the support that she provided to me as I grew up. I wasn't always an easy kid to manage. I was pretty high energy, but I wasn't always thoughtful about the potential consequences as I contemplated the next attempt at some challenge. I can remember thinking that it was a good idea to try to jump off of our barn roof onto an old mattress. That mattress didn't seem nearly as thick upon impact as it did before the jump. I'm sure at times Mom wondered if I might have a few loose screws as I did some crazy things as a kid, and later as I started running, doing all those solitary miles on the back roads near our home. I know my brother certainly did. He told me on a regular basis. But Mom was always very supportive of the pursuits that I decided to try. And she always encouraged me in those pursuits, even when the goals seemed a little oversized or ambitious. So I thank you for that, Mom. To my wife, thank you for all the support that you've provided as we built a home and raised a family together. As was the case with my mom, I'm sure I haven't always been the easiest person to live with. Can't imagine. But I'm grateful for all the love and at times the patience that you've shown to me over the years. And to the rest of my family, thank you for being here. This night's a lot more special to me because of that. So thank you for making that choice to be here with us. Finally, I'd like to congratulate all of tonight's fellow inductees. I had the privilege of being taught by one of the inductees, Ms. Fetzer. She was a great teacher, by the way. And I thoroughly enjoyed reading about all the accomplishments and accolades of each of the inductees. I feel really honored to be included as a member of this group of very deserving individuals. So congratulations. As I thought tonight about what I could say that might be interesting, a couple of things came to mind. I can vividly remember as a 10-year-old watching the events and tracking the medal count of the 1976 Montreal Olympics. And I just remember being fascinated by what I saw. Up to that point, I played a little bit of baseball and a little bit of pee-wee football. But something about watching those Olympics planted a different kind of seed in me. And at that time, we didn't have a lot of running opportunities for kids in our area until junior high school. But I do remember on our farm stepping off 100-meter and 200-meter distances, creating some makeshift long jump and high jump pits to try to handle what I saw. I even tried pole vaulting with an old steel pole that I found in our barn until it dropped back and smacked me on the forehead after an ill-fated miss at a personal record. I don't think I told Mom about that one, but even though I'm sure that the big red welt gave me away. Luckily, I had the good sense to end my pole vaulting career at that point. But there was something about those events and watching what I saw in that kind of athleticism that really drew me in. I also remembered a lot of funny stories. I'm sure each one of the inductees could tell a list of stories that were humorous and funny over the years. My kids recommended that I didn't do too much of that. I think they thought that I might have thought some of those situations were a lot funnier than you might. But I do have one that I think is maybe worth hearing. I can recall all of these funny stories, and each of our athletic journeys have been marked by moments of laughter and humor. But I'm especially thankful just of the joy and the fun that I got to experience as I competed and later on as I coached as well. I remember a high school meet that we were running in Bluffton, Ohio. And this was kind of a mid to late October day. It was rainy and kind of chilly. So all the teams had gathered under this picnic shelter to finish up our stretching and our warm-ups before the start of the race. And for some reason, one of the freshmen on our team was just being really silly that day. And he decided to stand up on one of the picnic tables. And as he took off his sweat bottoms to get ready to walk to the start line, after about 3 seconds of deafening laughter from everybody, within this picnic shelter, he realized that he forgot to put on his running shorts that day. So I think a new nickname or two was probably coined for him as a result of that. But needless to say, it was a memory that just stuck with all of us. And again, I'm sure that each of the inductees could relay and share some of those kinds of things. It was a blessing to be able to be in that kind of environment with teammates, for people that you were doing hard things with, but you'd have these moments that just marked you, really, for the rest of your life. I had the good fortune of meeting and becoming friends with many teammates and competitors over the years, and I was blessed with great coaches who not only helped me become a stronger competitor, but also helped to shape my character and become better prepared for the challenges that I would later come to have to face in life. It's a humbling thought to be recognized here tonight, considering how many hundreds, probably even thousands of athletes have performed and competed in Hardin County over the years. There's so many great performers who have inspired those who came after them to go on their own journeys of discovery in athletics. I know that was true of me. Every time I walked out of our locker room in high school, on the opposite wall there was a record board, and each of the events that I was aspiring to do well in, I could see the record holder and those record times. And I was reminded of those records, and each time I was motivated just a little bit more to pursue them and to see what I might be capable of accomplishing myself. As a coach, I had the opportunity to walk alongside athletes as they went on their own pursuits and journeys, and that experience helped me to understand more clearly that the real value of my athletic career came in all the lessons that I learned about myself and about life in general. And that I got an opportunity to teach them, or to maybe give them a little glimpse into the future so that they could have a little bit more of a perspective about what was happening for them. Those lessons have served me well in roles that I would later play as a husband, as a father, and in business. And I tried to help the athletes that I coached understand that even if they weren't excelling on the playing field in the way that they had hoped, they were still receiving something that was very valuable that would benefit them for the rest of their lives. So tonight's a great celebration of the accomplishments of all the inductees, but I think perhaps the most important reason to celebrate those accomplishments is that they mark a legacy that might end up being a catalyst to spur someone in the next generation to either start or continue in their own athletic endeavors, and to ultimately benefit from the joy and learning that can come with that experience. So in closing, I want to again thank the Hardin County Hall of Fame and the committee members for the work that you do. It's an honor to be recognized, and I'm humbled and grateful to be a part of the group of inductees. And for the record, I forgot to turn my watch on to see what my time was. But I was going to at least maybe have that established as the mark that the next person could go for. But thank you again. I appreciate it, and God bless all of you.
Up next, please give a warm welcome to Mrs. Julie Simmons.
It's an honor and a privilege to be able to be standing here to introduce somebody special to me, Coach Gail Loth, who I have many great memories from my years at Ohio Northern playing for her. Tonight, we honor a true pioneer and coaching legend in women's athletics, Coach Loth, whose name is synonymous with excellence, leadership, and championship tradition. Gail began her historic career at Ohio Northern University in 1967, launching what would become a Hall of Fame legacy. As the head softball coach until 2000, she amassed an impressive 425 career victories, guiding the Polar Bears to 4 Ohio Athletic Conference regular season championships, 3 OAC tournament titles, and 5 NCAA tournament appearances. Her remarkable ability to lead and inspire earned her 3 OAC Coach of the Year honors in recognition as NCAA Regional Coach of the Year in 1994. Her influence extended far beyond just the diamond. As the head coach of ONU women's basketball from 1972 to 1992, Gail compiled 274 wins, captured 2 OAC regular season championships, and led her teams to 5 NCAA tournament appearances, including conference tournament titles in 1986 and 1988. In 1988, she was named OAC Coach of the Year for women's basketball. I believe that was the year I sat on the trophy. Yes, and broke it. To this day, if you go by and look in the trophy case, it has a slight tilt. In addition to her coaching excellence, Gail was a dedicated and accomplished educator. From 1972 to 2000, she served on the Ohio Northern University faculty, first in the Department of Health and Physical Education and later in the Department of Human Performance and Sports Sciences, where she served as the department chair. Her commitment to athletics and personal development of students was as impactful as her success on the court and the field. Coach Loth also played a vital administrative role as the senior women's administrator in the Department of Athletics, advocating for student athletes and championing the growth of women's sports. Coach Loth's impact is measured not only by her wins and titles, but by the generations of student athletes and colleagues whose lives she shaped through her commitment, her discipline, and vision. For her trailblazing career and enduring contributions to athletics, education, and leadership in Hardin County and beyond, it is my honor and privilege that Gail, Coach Loth, so hard for me to say, is inducted into the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame.
I just use this to get sympathy. I can't jump this high anymore. Wow, thank you. I sat down and looked at the program. It's the first time I've seen a program for here. And I could not believe the names I recognized, so excuse me while I remember. I looked at that program and saw Lee Tressel and Stretch Roberson. They were colleagues at Ohio Northern. Then I started looking a little further down the list, and I saw Gail Doherty and Joe Gampoli, Helen Ludwig, and I'm going to stop right there for a moment. My mentor, I loved that woman. She was as special as they come. And she hired me at Ohio Northern, and she and her family took me under their wing, and I can tell you anything you want to know about spar, seed corn, the Ludwig Farms in Dola and in Ada, and I'm so proud to have that information shared with me, plus Everett's experiences in World War II when he was shot down and put into a concentration camp. Very, very special people. And if I talk about them any longer, I'm going to start crying. Then I went down the list a little further, and I saw Ron Beechler, and several others. Help me out, Tom, as far as who else is on there from Ohio Northern. Anyway, I had hired all of those, except for Stretch and Lee. So I'm pretty proud. Then I walk in here tonight, first person to come up to me, Doug Roberts, former student. And my other former student that's here is Lee Hood. I believe a few others. And didn't Julie do a great job? She was special, and she's superintendent of Ada now. And I always loved alumni games when I could introduce the alums from the programs and tell people what they were doing now. We have teachers, we have coaches, we have attorneys, we have medical doctors, and of course pharmacists, and lawyers and engineers, and I'm impressed by every single one of them. And I am just so proud to have known them and been hopefully a part of their education. Russ Goulet. I have this information for you because Russ and Thad Gardner realized that there were women on the athletic fields of competition, and they publicized it, and you have no idea how grateful we were for that and how much we appreciated it. When I came here, women's sports were nothing but intramurals. I played in college, glorified intramurals, and that was at Ohio University. I'm sorry to get on to Title IX, and so I won't get there. And I won't give the history from 1967 till 2000. But I can tell you, I am so fortunate to have been a part of that time. Russ, my information for you, I coached 78 seasons at Ohio Northern University. And I think you covered, and you and Ted covered almost all of them. Thank you, and keep up the good work, and I hope as a teacher that you're enjoying it as much. 78 seasons. That's because, as Sue Fesser said, there were no women who really wanted to coach. I was hired as a teacher at Ohio Northern, and as I was walking out of my interview, they asked me, oh, by the way, could you coach softball? I said, yep. That's the one sport I got to play, because in high school, if you wanted to be in sports and you were female, you were a cheerleader. And they also tacked on, and would you advise the cheerleaders? Yep, we could do that too. Then I coached 20 years as assistant volleyball coach. I can't take any credit for any of those wins, but there were a bunch of them. 25 years of basketball, 33 years of softball. Our numbers weren't great. We had no conferences. We had no NCAA. We formed our own associations because the men did not want us. And I'm not trying to insult the men. I really do understand that because they didn't have enough and they didn't particularly want to share it. And I understand that. But I'm blessed because my career was basically fighting tooth and nail for the women who enjoyed athletics. I was not a coach who happened to teach. I was a teacher who happened to coach. But we don't receive the honors for teaching. What we receive is the satisfaction of seeing what our former students are doing and the successes that they've had and the wonderful lives that they are leading and the contributions they are making to society. I loved the ripple effect of my job. I taught teachers, every elementary education teacher who graduated from Ohio Northern had me for a class. A few of the athletes had me for a class. But I taught, I didn't teach. But you know, teachers, we are so lucky to coach. If you, do we have any teachers in here? How many teachers do we have in here? Great, love that, love that. All of you teachers, if you knew that you could take the top 5% of the performers in what you teach, have an extra 2 hours a day with them to work on their skills and their knowledge, and then take those students and show them off to the public once or twice a week, then you know what it's like to coach. We are so, so fortunate to have those opportunities. But I also have to point out, for the women, we got it, but it wasn't easy. We gave up the small gym and the big gym to the junior high boys in our town so they could practice before we could set our practices. And we had 2 practices a week, whether we needed it or not. Didn't have the numbers. My first few years here, we might play 8 softball games. Then we got really good and played 10. Our uniforms were 2 handkerchiefs hooked together by straps. They called them pennies. And you got new uniforms when you got new handkerchiefs. We did not have any women's uniforms until approximately my 3rd year here at Ohio Northern. Then the uniforms we bought, we wore for volleyball, basketball, softball every season. Same uniforms, same color, and it took us a long time to get a second pair. I'm not going to complain about that. I said I was just lucky enough to be here to help do that for a lot of the women. I see what's going on now with women's sports, and I have to admit, sometimes I really get choked up, but I don't want anybody in sports to ever take it for granted. Somebody did a lot of work to get sports where they are. I always thought it was so important, you know, for my women athletes. They did not have to imitate men athletes. They could be a woman and be a good athlete, but you know, they did not have any other role models. There were no women athletes that people knew. The only outstanding role models were men. So it's been a struggle for all who participated, for all involved. we didn't have good officials, so we had to start our own officiating group in northwestern Ohio so that we could get good officials for the women's and high school girls sports. And I believe a lot of our officials came over here to Kenton. I know a lot of our students who officiated came over here too. And I was very fortunate, speaking of students, to get some outstanding women athletes from the Kenton area. But I do want to go on record that I never coached basketball, volleyball, or softball. I coached women to play those sports. And when the sports become more important than the people, I really wanted my women to understand that being an athlete did not give them privileges. It gave them responsibilities. And I think when I look at the quality of the alums, the people sitting here, I think that was successful. Let me thank the committee for recognizing this old broad. I'm not going to talk long because I can't stand that long. I appreciate the honor. I may have enjoyed it more when I was 50 instead of 80. But I could have done a little jumping up and down, a little more celebrating. But believe me, I've had time to really appreciate the recognition. And thank you so very, very much for your attention tonight.
Next, please welcome lecturer Coach Brian Carroll.
Like you said, I'm a coach, I'm not a public speaker, and I'm way over my head. This is truly amazing. Growing up in Hardin County, obviously I had Coach Renner in high school. You can just go generation to generation to generation with stories of Hardin County rivalries. I'm not sure how many counties, obviously there are other counties that have them, but we've got to be in the top 10%. As far as, I think Darren would agree with me. Darren and I know each other from the basketball coaching world. So anyway, I need to get to it here. Before I get into this, I do want to point out when Coach Renner and I were talking before we started eating, I know at least one of his state champions are here. Would you just raise your hand or stand up? It's a young man who, got one of the scholarships, and I don't know you by name, but I know you're a high jumper, and I know 5 state champions Coach has coached. So we in the coaching world know it takes talent and it takes coaching. The coaching part, I would guarantee you, the Coach Renner doesn't really talk about that a lot. But anyway, it takes both. So the good and the bad is I'm not kidding you, I spent 6 to 8 hours on this, and I'm not going to do plan A, I'm going to do plan B. Because the people who have spoke up here have touched me. And I know a lot of you, Coach Gale, I know I bumped into you a few times over at High Northern basketball camps with Coach Doherty and Coach Campoli. Coach Doherty was no nonsense, and Coach Campoli, you couldn't get away from him. Offered him a bowl of pasta, and he knew anything for you. But anyway, just on and on and on. There's just so many people here I haven't seen in 30 years. And you might not even know me, but I know you. And it's incredible to me. So this is a special night for me. And I have no idea why Coach Renner picked me to do this. So before I get into this, I'm going to tell one quick story that I've never told Coach about. and I'm pretty sure I've never told my wife about it. So when I was in college, I ran track at Bluffton, but I was just a guy. And so I really started getting addicted to I started coaching basketball in the winters. My first job was at Hardin, coaching junior high for 2 years. Which is ironic, that's where Coach went to school. And during college, I had a passion for seeking out elite coaches. So over the years, this is way too short. Over the years, I was fortunate enough to sit down and wait after a coach's clinic. And I would talk to Coach K. I think I talked to him for 3 times. I talked to Tark once, Jerry Tarkanian. I won't tell you all the details about that, but I can tell you that the one I want to talk about the most was Coach Wood. And Coach Wood, I talked to him, I listened to him for about 5 minutes. I waited till everybody left. And all I wanted to know was about his high post offense. And the only thing I remember is that when I left that room, his persona was Coach Renner's persona. And that is the best compliment that I could ever give a coach. John Wooden is one of the best coaches, obviously, in the history of the world. And that personality, when I left the building, that's Renner. And it's just crazy. And, but anyway, I got to get off of Plan B, because I need to focus here. I got a serious case of it. The teachers, we know what we're talking about when you got an ADD person, okay? I have to remind myself to focus. So, the good and the bad of me getting to do this is that Coach Renner has 2 full pages of athletes and accomplishments and everything. So I'm going to try to, I forgot my water bottle. Because I want to go dry here. Thank you. So I'm going to try to prioritize, if that is, some of these. They're all, I noticed, I wasn't sure if they'd all be in the booklet. So I have, I'll just go ahead and get it done. It's an honor to introduce my high school track and field coach, Charles Renner. Coach Renner was the primary reason I decided to change my career path to teaching and coaching. I owe a lot of my successes to Coach Renner. The best coaches are the greatest teachers. I've heard that multiple times, and I am glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. It is absolutely amazing how Coach Renner could break things down for athletes in every track and field event that I'm aware of. And that's an elite skill in my opinion. It might not be as elite today because of YouTube. You can pull videos and stuff. But I know for a fact that in the 80s, when I had him, that was rare. So you had coaches that knew this or that, but very few of them knew everything. As an athlete, Coach Renner competed and graduated from high school at Hardin Northern in '73. He was a 4-year medal winner in track and field at Capital University, graduated there in 1977. Coach Renner coached track and field, indoor cross country at 3 county schools, Ridgemont, Riverdale, and USV. At Ridgemont in 1986, he led us to a conference runner-up in track and field, and we only had 5 male athletes. If you're a coach, I'm guessing a lot of coaches feel this way, but one of my if I was Coach Renner, I would consider that one of my best accomplishments. It was probably the 50th best team he had, but he coached us to an overachieving level. And what you get out of somebody,
and you know you got every last drop out of that team, you feel really good about that season. It's not just about the wins and the losses. So he then led the girls track and field team to 4 consecutive county titles. From 88 to 91, he led the USB boys track and field team to 6 county titles. From 92 to 17, including 4 consecutive from 2014 to 2017. He led the Riverdale boys cross country team to a county title in 90, and the USB boys cross country team to 3 county titles from 2014 to 2022. He has coached 5 individual state champions, which is absolutely incredible to me, 5 state runner-ups, and over 50 athletes who participated at the state meets in cross country or track and field. 34 of his athletes earned first team All-Ohio. In track and field, he led his teams to 3 conference championships and 10 conference runner-ups. Cross country, he led his teams to 1 conference title and 3 conference runner-ups. He's done a lot of stuff administratively. I'm going to skip over that. That's listed in the program. Coach Renner has received the following coaching awards: Girls District 7 Coach of the Year Award in 91, Northwest Conference Cross Country Girls Coach of the Year in 2015. He received the 110% award as the USB Teacher of the Year in 1992. Okay, so Coach Renner has always gotten the most out of his athletes. We were energized, we worked together, and we rooted for each other. That's the culture that Coach Renner has always built everywhere I've seen him coach. Coach Renner epitomizes the quote, "They don't care what you know until they know how much you care." Those of us in the coaching fraternity know how real this one is. It is Coach Renner in a nutshell. In the Renner culture, he demonstrated the importance of relationships, teamwork, and hard work in achieving success. Thanks for truly caring, Coach. Thanks for using your coaching gifts, and congratulations, you earned it.
Thank you, Brian, so much. I really appreciate Brian doing this tonight, and he was at Ridgemont and Riverdale, up the side of the alley many times. I think the Marine slogan is really true. We have to learn how to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And at Ridgemont, one of the things we didn't have there was a track. And so Brian was a very good hurdler, and we actually painted lines on the streets of Ridgeway. And that's where he ran his, there was a rather sharp turn in the middle of this 300 hurdles. It seemed to work pretty well for him. He did a great job there. So thank you, Brian. Brian's had a very successful career, and he was very humble about this, but he's done a great job for North Union girls teams, first in girls basketball, and then also North Union boys, and now his son is head coach of North Union boys, so that's a wonderful thing. So anyway, I guess to start off tonight, I do want to thank, first of all, God, and I think Darren did that, and I really appreciate that. And so I've got a little story here. This kind of builds off of Jeff Hastings was talking about. He was actually intentionally jumping off of something. Well, I have a story where I was not intentionally jumping. But I'm relaying this story because this really showed me something about God and being part of our lives. And back at Hardin Northern, we did not have any bills. We if you've been around Dunkirk or Dola, you know it's pretty flat. In cross country, we would go to the Dunkirk court and run the hills there. But at track, we had to resort to running bleachers. And some of you know what's coming here in my story because we had no aisles in these bleachers, so we had to run figure countings down diagonals. And we were doing this one day, and this was in, I believe, 1971. I think I was a sophomore in high school. As we were doing this, I got to the top. I think I was rather tired. And when I was supposed to be making my turn, instead, I went down off the bleachers. Now, the bleachers, I never actually measured it, but they were somewhere between 15 and 20 feet in height. And there were these big concrete posts down there that they were anchored in. And as I was going down, it's like time stands still in your mind. You know, and you're thinking, thoughts go through your mind. Okay, am I going to break my arm? Am I going to break the leg? Am I going to really hurt my back? Whatever. Well, fortunately, this was in the spring and it had been rather wet. And so I landed in a seated position. And I started right away moving things. They all moved okay. I got up and I'd been jarred quite a bit. The next day, I remember when this was because the next day was what we call either Holy Thursday or Maundy Thursday churches, and we were in church. And as I'm sitting there that night, the thought occurred to me that, wait a minute, I think God watched over me. Because I could have broken something. And I think that I'm relating this because I've had this realization that, God isn't somebody that I just prayed to, but he was somebody that actually was watching over me. And I think a lot of us have felt that. I've seen that in athletes' lives, in my family's lives. And so I wanted to relate that because that's part of who I am. Okay, I don't know if you saw, there were a couple of pictures. My parents both grew up. I want to thank God for them because they really had a lot of influence in my life. If you knew my parents, they grew up during the Depression. My father was in World War II about a year after he graduated from high school. He was part of the 63rd Infantry. He was always very proud of that. He was an interpreter in World War II, but he was blessed to come back. A lot of the guys that he went over with didn't. My mother, but I had to make sure the person was there, but she was part of the war effort. She grew up near Bucyrus, and every night she would have to go into the GE factory and make things and for the war effort. And so they gave me a perspective. They came out, went to Capital University. One of the themes tonight, I think, is women's sports, and my mother was actively involved in playing basketball, field hockey, softball, and tennis. And I guess part of women's sports in those days, she didn't get letters in those. Nobody did. And I think she always wished she could have had letters in the sports because she would have qualified for them. But anyway, my father actually was a pretty good baseball player. He was a pitcher and an infielder, and some shrapnel got in his arm, and that changed him into a knuckleball pitcher. And there wasn't quite as much demand for a knuckleball pitcher in those days as somebody who could throw fast, probably like today. So anyway, I got a lot of blessings. They were great parents. A couple things athletically for me was in order for us to go out for basketball in the 9th grade, we had to either play football or run cross country. I was not very big, I was not very fast, so I chose the cross country method. And what did I do? I didn't know what to do there, so I started running around my backyard, and it was about 200 to 300 meters, and I kind of learned the principle of adaptation. That if I would do that, I did that for a couple laps the first day, the next day I had another one, whatever. And so one of the people that I think we've seen some of these pictures is Stan Evans. He was a very good coach, and Stan actually had us the very first day of cross-country practice. He had us run 7 miles from Hardin Northern to 701 and back, and I was able to do that. Now, it wasn't real fast, but I was able to do that. And that's a principle that stayed with me the rest of my life. Because as a coach, I think every coach uses adaptation to some degree or another, introducing a lower stress load and then gradually increasing that and see that you get some good results in yourself as an athlete and others as well. As an athlete, one of the things that really blessed me was being part of some great teams at Hardin Northern, and I give all the credit to Coach Evans, my teammates, and some great teammates. There are a couple of guys I want to recognize here tonight, and that's Bruce and Doug Kritzler, and you guys would just wave here. I want to stand up, but Bruce and Doug have both been great friends through the years. Bruce lives in Gainesville, Florida. He's part of the Florida Track Club. He's a very good pole vaulter, good marathon runner, and he coached at a little bit of Florida, right? And then also University of Louisiana, Monroe. He's a very good coach there, and Doug has just been a great encourager of many track people in Hardin County through the years. I don't know too many big meets where he hasn't been there helping, doing something. They used to take me to summer track meets. Doug had an MG, you know how large those are, and they had 2 good seats, and then they also had 2 places where we could kind of sit on what would be the trunk. And we would go to Tiff interview Cyrus and run summer meets, and that was really a great help to me. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it. Also, I guess I got started coaching in, going too fast here. Some teammates I want to mention, one of them here today, Gary Folks, is one of the teammates. He's in there you are, right? And he was a great teammate, and I had some great teammates at Hardin Northern. I don't know if I have any other teammates here tonight from there. I went to Capitol University, I had some great teammates there. I mentioned Dr. Aaron Folsom. He and I ran a lot together. And then also Pastor Mike Howe is also a very good teammate there as well. So anyway, coming from there, I also ran with a group of people here in Kenton. It's the Kenton Marathon Club, and we had a number of people that qualified for different marathons through there. When I went to Ridgemont, Richard McGarvey, some of you might remember him, he was a good superintendent educator there, asked me if I would be interested in starting cross country, restarting it, and so we did that. Jeff had a picture of himself in the county meet. The guy right behind Jeff was the first guy that we had that made it to the state meet, an exchange student named Per Rovlo. I think Jeff remembers him, that he was he and Jeff had some good battles. I think Jeff usually won, but they had some good battles there. And so anyway, coached at Ridgemont for 5 years, went to Riverdale, and at Riverdale we had some really great teams and some great individuals there. And then the last 34 years, I've been in Upper Side Valley, and blessed to be there, and had some very good individuals. I want to clarify a little bit. One of the state champions, which in fact there is, Michelle Beeman Underwood, and she had a very nice track and field career there, won the state high jump in 1999. And then Maddox, Rob and Michelle's son, went to the state meet this year in the high jump. And this illustrates something that I'm going to get into, which is the need for a team approach and even coaching and everything else. Because, yes, I was the head coach, but we had a very good jumps coach that worked with Maddox this year. And I know Brian and I talked about that really it's a team effort a lot of times. There have been years when I haven't had any assistant coaches, not too many, but a few. One year we had 45 out for track, we had a good assistant lined up, and his job schedule got changed. He was supposed to be on third shift, and he got moved to second. And so that year, improvised, adapted, overcame. We put the schedules up, everybody's practice schedule up on the locker room doors, and this was also time during the 94 season when we had some outstanding athletes, Coach Richard Drew had. And we had captains, and they kind of each led their effort, and I went around and worked with each group as well as I could, and seemed to work out that year. But we have had some very good assistants. I know at least one of them is here tonight. I know she's going to be embarrassed, but I'm going to ask her to wave her hand. And that is Beth Baldridge Williams, and she was a very good assistant, and she still is coaching some great athletes. And I won't embarrass her by all that, but I know she's coached some very good high jumpers in the past few years. So thank you, Beth. And I don't know if I have any other assistant coaches here. If anybody else is here, wave your hand. Okay. All right. I do have some people that were part of, I want to recognize the people who are on boards of education and administrators, because that's one reason why I had the opportunity to coach. And so if any of you were in those positions, if you could wave. Even over there. All right. And let's see. I recognize a couple of athletes here. I don't know if we have any more, but I really want to thank all the athletes who were here. Not only who were here, but all the athletes that have had the opportunity to coach. I agree with Brian that many times our best coaching jobs are ones that maybe wouldn't get noticed even, because part of being a good coach is being a good teacher. And that really is what it's about there. I want to thank my family here. So 5 adult children, and I can't say enough good things about them. 4 of them could be here tonight: Pete, John, Joel, and Leah. You guys can wave. I have a wonderful stepson, Jason. So Jason, thank you. And then my wife, Jenny, and she's known affectionately as Mrs. Coach. Many of the athletes at Upper Side Valley, we've had people over for dinners and things like that, teams, and I think that's been good. She's made a lot of goodies for them through the years. A couple of my teachers that I want to recognize besides Mr. Evans, a person that I think would have liked to have been here, but he was not able. Merlin Marshall, who was our band director. Mr. Marshall was not only a great band director, he was kind of like a coach in himself. He really pushed us toward perfection. I think we had marched 64 people, had 72 in the band, and his bands had a number of number ones in the state, which was something that we strove for. I think we made a couple of record albums. I think that they're still on the Hardin Northern Trophy case. But he was very much of an inspiration as well. Okay, hopefully I haven't forgotten anybody. If I have, I apologize. Oh, one of Jenny's brothers and their families, Jack, Dick, and Bob. Thank you guys. You guys have been a great encouragement to me as well. Okay, I've forgotten anybody else. I don't know. I'm trying not to. Okay, well, thank you. I want to congratulate all the people who went before me. I could listen to all of you for a long time, and I really appreciate all the things you've shared. And thank you and congratulations, and also to all the people who are still to be recognized. Thank you.
Next, please welcome Don Torch Kinney.
He led the track team to 2 question about got 8 titles, a second place, and a third place. He led her 4 years in track. That's an accomplishment in itself. Basketball, it's in a very forward. He was our center. Since he was 6 foot, he was 5'11". Unlike Darren at 6'10", Jim could dunk the ball. In basketball, he led her 3 years, only because we had a freshman team. He had to play on the freshman team, couldn't play on the varsity. But he was all league in basketball. In football, his true love, he was always hurt. But we did get 2 second places in football. But the good story is Woody Hayes wanted him bad. So on his official visit, he said, Torch, he says, will you go with me down to our visit at Ohio State? I said, sure. So we went down to Ohio State, went to this real fancy restaurant. There sits Woody, 2 or 3 other coaches. We sit down there. Jim looks at me and he says, what the hell do we do with all these 5 and 4s? I said, I don't know, just watch them. Jim went on to play at Ohio University for 4 years, later 4 years there. And I kind of lost track because I went into service at the same time. But I do know he started as a defensive back at Ohio U. But in high school, he lettered at 11. He had a total of 11 letters. So that he was just one terrific guy. And I just wish that he was here today so I could present this to him. Thank you very much.
As you mentioned, Jim passed away. You can read all about it in the program. It's too long for me to read right now. Quite frankly, myself to keep backed up tonight after listening to all this stuff. You know, I had a 3.5 GPA in high school. Thought I was pretty smart. But outside, I'm not. A lot of people said that over the course of time. Let's start from the day. Each year, the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame recognizes one of the special teams that's left an indelible mark upon our county's rich athletic history. For this year's team presentation, please welcome the lecturer, Coach Gene Freeze.
First of all, congratulate all of the inductees. I certainly feel we're in a select group, and I, for one, appreciate all the hard work that you put into athletics, because a lot of people don't realize how hard you have to work to be an athlete. It takes a lot of sacrifice, not only on your part, but the part of others, parents, and a lot of other people. I'd like to recognize, if I could, the people, some special people who are here with me at honoring our 1975-76 basketball team at Ada High School. First of all, Ted Lee, my JV coach, and his wife Jane were at the table over there. Ted was my assistant coach there all the years that I spent as a coach at Ada. And when I was superintendent, I persuaded him to be my athletic director. He made a fine athletic director. Well, and of course, then I have Ted Krieger, who was a cross-country runner for me while I coached at New Knoxville. And Ted came here right out of college, and he coached 7th grade basketball, 9th grade basketball. He went all the way up. Well, he did, I think, the year at 8th grade as well. And he and his wife Pam are seated over there. And then my wife Velm, who knew for 22 years what it was like to be a wife of a coach. And then also she later spent 22 as a wife of the superintendent of the school. I don't know which is the worst. I'd like to spend, not talking any longer than I have to here, but I have a group of young men. Not all fellows could make it back, but a lot of them did. A lot of them went a long way. And I think a lot of these boys, and I really didn't realize all of the information until I started to get about this particular team. This 1975 and 76 team was really kind of a surprise to us in some ways, because the year before, we really had more height than I really knew what to do with. The team was 6'8", 6'7", 6'5", and somebody said, well, you better really have a guard. If you got all that height, what you're going to do. And you know, it was a situation, but I will say that particular team underachieved in many ways. And I was disappointed with it. I didn't particularly blame anyone. The biggest problem was about halfway through the season. We started off and we were 6-0. And our captain, Jimmy Bowden, who later went to Ohio Northern as well, had injured his leg. And it was a cartilage of some type that I could never heard anything like that wasn't going to heal. It was going to take the rest of the season to heal. And he wasn't going to be able to play anymore. And this was devastating to us. He was our captain, and he enabled us to play man-to-man defense, because his replacement was going to be a boy about 6'6", could shoot a little bit, but he couldn't run. We weren't going to be able to play man-to-man defense anymore. We were going to have to play zone, and it was going to slow us up, and it was going to put a lot more pressure on our guard that was going to do 90% of the ball handling. And it really hurt our team. We had a respectable year. We didn't do well in the tournament, and to be quite blunt, I was disappointed with that year. Well, as we look to the next year, that's this year, the 1975-76 school year, we had one starter coming back. I don't think people expected it too much, but I did, and I knew our point guard did. So we, over the summer, I was fortunate enough to go to Ohio Northern's basketball camp, and I was able to put 2 of my players on one team, and I put our point guard with our big man that was coming. We had anticipated he would be our center, which was Big Greg Dysart. And a lot of people didn't think maybe Greg could be that good of a ball player, that he couldn't, maybe run. He was overweight, and what I decided with Greg, he had a little problem on the football team, and he was dismissed from the football team. And I called Greg aside, and I said, Greg, that's over with. Basketball's right around the corner. I'm counting on you. You're counting on basketball. Now you're going to work your butt like everybody else to get in shape for basketball. And this is going to be hard because you're overweight. And I said, I've got a group of kids out here that run cross country. They are in shape. You're not in shape. So what are we going to do?
Every night, Greg, we're going to weigh you on Monday. We've got an established weight. Every night of practice, after practice, you and I are going to run together. And we did that. And we took Greg weighed in every Monday. He kept his weight down as well as he could. And I'm telling you, he was one fine ball player. I think that in the 22 years that I coached, I don't think that I had a ball player that improved and did as much in 1 year as he did. And it was his boy that was Mr. Football, Mr. Basketball, Mr. Baseball, not only Hardin County, but this whole area of the state. That was Zach Dicer, and went on to have a career at Miami University. Now, I thought I'd do is to introduce our players that we have here with us, and we have, believe it or not, 3 of the boys have passed away. And Ty Michael is one. Ty was the son of Larry Michael that coached for a long time in Ohio Northern. And then we have a boy that moved in to Ada, hadn't been there too long, named Vic Van Horn, was a backup postman on our squad. I think his wife and his family members are here this evening. And then, of course, was Big Greg. And Greg, I said enough about him, and I thought a great deal of him, and he was an outstanding player on our squad. And then next is my oldest son, and he was actually he was a 4-year starter at Ada High School. He played with different postmen. He went from high point man to average, whatever the team needed. That's the kind of player he was. That he was a playmaker. He was recruited. We already had someone at one of our ball games every game. His senior year, but we couldn't get the financial situation just right for Jeff at Ohio Northern, and he chose to go elsewhere, and he did play basketball, and he also met his sweetheart and was married after his freshman year of college. That was Debbie Klingler. And our next fellow that I'd like to introduce was Lee Hood. Now, Lee was kind of the answer to our unknown. What are we going to do with this ball game? We knew that we had a big man. He had good pivot moves. He was ready to go and anxious to go, and probably in the best shape I could get him in. And then we had Jeff at point guard, and I've always believed that the secret to a good basketball team is to have it outside, inside, and in between. Well, we had the outside man, we had the inside man. Now, what are we going to have in between? Well, we had a little toe-head. That was a freshman. I was tempted to play him the year before as a freshman. Especially when we had our injuries about halfway through the season. But I waited, and I was ready to get him in the tournament, but we didn't go so far in the tournament. We didn't. I didn't play, but I could see he's ready now. And he was the secret, really, to our success, because he gave us that in between. And we started out the first game of the year, and I didn't mention this, but Jeff, my oldest son, came down with the flu and had a very high temperature and was really sick. And it was the day of our first ball game. We was going to play Columbus Grove, and we didn't know, how good they were. Really, we for sure didn't know how good we were going to be. Well,
I took Jeff up to Dr. Elliott, and Dr. Elliott was a little reluctant to give shots, but he said he thought he did have something that might help him. And he gave him a shot, and I don't know, like happens a lot of time. About noon or so, Jeff started feeling a little better, and he thought he might be able to go that night. Well, he went all right. He scored 38 points. We beat him in overtime. And we kind of knew that wasn't going to be our structure for the year. I don't have point guard scoring 38 points too often. And after that, Lee Hood started coming. And I mean, he was coming pretty good for a sophomore. And we put together, and we picked a few other guys as we going through there. We brought, we had adequate size. We had Mark Reichert, who was here this evening. We came off the football team, and he had a cast on his arm. Wally Hood, the football coach, had fixed him up with some kind of a cast that he could practice and play. And he was able to play. We had Mike Elliott. Both these boys were about 6'4", and of course, usually one of them played with Greg Dysert. And of course, we had depth. Then if Greg needed to blow or we could in foul trouble, our front line was in pretty good shape with these fellows, both Mark and Mike Elliott. And then Bo Michael, who's out of state, where he would have been here this evening. Bo was a guard, he could play the point as a backup, but he also played as a wing guard. And then we had a young man that is here this evening, the name of Randy Harris, who became a good shooting guard for us as well from the outside. And glad that he's there. And then I had another little freshman that was whipping at the bit and ready to play. Thought we were to go, but I guess I held him back. He thought I held him back a little long, but I waited, and I don't think it hurt him too much. But he was ready to go to a tournament, and we thought, boy, we're in good shape. And we got a good draw in the tournament, and I think, as pointed out, the kids' record, we had a 17-1 record during the regular season. We lost one game to Riverdale at Riverdale when I think about all my team fouled out, and I ended up realizing I might have to play with 5 guards. But that's the only one we lost, and we certainly did look forward to trying to get another crack at them in the regional tournament, but it didn't work out for either of us. But the team did go undefeated in the Northwest Conference, and believe me, that's a challenge. They've kind of let that conference now fall apart. They got, don't get me wrong, they got some good teams in it, but there's a lot of the teams have left. And at the time when I was coaching, there were 10 or 12 teams, between 10 and 12 teams in the conference, and it was very competitive. And of course, we really had a competition with the one that was right next door to us, Upper Scioto Valley. And we knew that, I think every kid on our team knew that our key to success is we gotta beat the best if we're gonna be the best. And Upper Scioto Valley was the best. And they were tough to beat. I mean, that team could take, every year, they would move our home game to a Big 4. And that's tough. They gave up their home court advantage to go, but they knew the crowd they were going to have, because back then, you know, we had this nice new big gym, and our athletic director used to tell me that we got close to 2,000 people in that gym, and we filled it every game practically. And the big games, if it was Kenton or Clyde or anybody good, Corey Lawson had the Fane boys, and they come down and they filled our game. Kenton filled it all the time. We had some nice big games, and it was very competitive. And I enjoyed playing Upper Scioto Valley. I have one particular story I'd like to tell you about a game with Upper Scioto Valley. And we were both undefeated in the league. And they had moved the game to Allen East. And Allen East gym was a tartan floor. It was a nice gym. It wasn't as big as Hardin at Ada, but it did hold a lot more people than the gym that Upper Scioto had at that time. And the gym, as always, was packed. And somehow they opened the doors, and the floor just got like glare of ice. And the kids were slipping all over the floor, falling down. The referees were throwing their arms up there, and they didn't know what to do. And I was about halfway through the fourth quarter, and the one referee came over, and I could see he had some sanity. He said, I think I got to call this game. And I said, I think you do too. I said, I don't know what we do from here, but I guess we'll have to contact the Athletics Association, or you will, and see. Well, they contacted the Athletic Association, and they said, well, we have something in place for that. And I was glad of that. So then we wasn't going to have to play the game over again. We had a little lead. It was, I think it was 5 points. And it was in the fourth quarter, about halfway through the fourth quarter. And so we went home, and then I got the call from the referee. And he did a good job. I give him credit. When he called the game, he did the right thing. And I told him that. And he said that he talked to Upper Scioto Valley, and they had a date that they wanted to play it right shortly. And we were available, and we were going to play. But the stipulation was it didn't go where the game actually ended. It went back to the end of the quarter before. Well, we lost some points, but that's beside the point. They took us back where it was only 2 points difference at the end of that quarter. So that's where we had to go back and start. So the next thing was, then you figured out, well, what do? You warm up, you try to play a little bit before you go in, whatever. Well, I thought I wouldn't know where to start on that. I never experienced anything like that. I thought, well, we usually start out the game pretty good. So we're just going to go over like it started for the first game. We're only going to play one quarter. We now had a 2-point lead. We didn't have no 5-point lead no more. So it started, and I guess the other team practiced a little bit before. And I thought, well, that's probably okay. And they went in, and both teams looked like they were ready to go. And we played, and I think we ended up, we didn't beat them very bad. It was a big win to us because I think we finally beat Upper. And after that, even with our good teams, there were, I think, after this particular team, and I think the thing that these kids, I don't even think they realized it at the time, but they set the tempo and the pace for the Ada basketball program. What this team did, because not only this Upper game and winning that was still only one game. We opened the season with Crestville. I was talking about Lee Hood a little bit. I remember that little sophomore out there hit, I don't know, 4 or 5 straight free throws down close the wire on Crestville's before. And I think everybody knows Crestview is a pretty tough opponent, has been through the years. And we got them. We went undefeated in the conference, and that was quite an accomplishment. And I think we got two of the Greg's brother Kenny is here, representing Kenny as well. And of course, Leva's brother Jeff is here with him. And we had a lot of that. We have younger brothers, and my sons both played, and it was a lot of pressure on the ones following. Because when we started and won that first conference championship, they didn't want to be the ones that broke the streak. A couple of years they had to settle for a tie, but they went on and they won the 7 years that I stayed there. After that, they won the championship all 7 years, and I think I was well blessed with a group of good kids. They were competitive kids. They wanted to play. I won't say we knew as much about basketball as Upper Pitt and a lot of the other basketball schools at first, but they caught on, and they played hard, and they were very competitive, and we played at big schools. We played Bath, Kenton. We didn't lose. Probably didn't lose many games in 7 years. They had a remarkable record, and I'll give the credit to the kids for the hard work they put in and putting up with me, because I probably wasn't an easy coach to play for, but they knew I wanted to win, and they knew I was going to fight for them. And they knew they was going to have to work, and they usually did.
I said you'll bring up your coach, we'll give them back. Guys, for your team, beat those guys.
Yeah, we'd like to have all the team members.
We got there. Come on up, guys.
We were 17-1.
17-1.
17-1 regular season, and then was 21-2, I think. 21-2 overall.
And your record is never set about is what?
I want to know.
A bunch of Coach Ryan. Also real quick, guys, we had a banner stayed. We put these up, it kept falling all day, and the hard rolling people said it was fine, just let it right there. Everybody, congrats, big round of applause. All right, this concludes our 13th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We would like this year's inductees, as well as the Ada basketball team, to hang around up front for some pictures. We'd also like to remind everyone that this year's ceremony will be available online at KentonTV.com the next day or two, courtesy of Richard Catterton. We hope to see everyone again next year as we recognize another class of worthy individuals as we continue to honor a proud legacy of athletic excellence at Hardin County. So again, thanks for coming, everyone. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Have a great night. Drive safe. Happy holidays, everyone.